Human storytelling turns everything into a conspiracy, into a telenovela. Once emotion takes over, the lens narrows, according to human logic, to blame, and the code disappears. The Torah operates beyond the surface-level narratives of family drama. It functions as a sophisticated operating system. When we read it emotionally, we lose the structure. This is true in every video I make, but this time, it's essential to remember. Because if the word God's bride makes you picture a gentle virgin in a white dress with a soft veil, you're very far from the code. The code does not respond to interpretation, only to structure. When meaning is forced through human interpretation, the system narrows. When structure is allowed to speak, the system opens. The code responds not to opinion, but to precision. The more clearly the structure is laid out, the more accurately the system can respond. This is not persuasion or explanation. It is alignment. Precision is rewarded with precision. Human interpretation centers the self. What I think this means. Structure removes the self from the center. It allows the signal to pass without distortion. What feels like being heard is actually resonance, not validation. Interpretation seeks closure. Structure sustains movement. The code does not aim to finish a conversation. It aims to remain generative, layer upon layer, without collapse. We are trained to consume fast meaning. Every day, as we doom scroll through an endless stream of headlines on our devices, we feed into this habit of speed. The urge to quickly grasp what's happening in the world without pausing to delve deeper grounds us in surface-level understanding. Yet this relentless consumption of snippets leaves us with a shallow grasp of the underlying structures. The code resists speed. Depth is not added by explanation, but by repetition, pattern, and restraint. This is why interpretation must be released, not because it is wrong, but because it blocks the flow. There is a cost to depth, time, attention, energy. But depth is not a loss. It is an investment that compounds. The more the structure is engaged, the more the system expands its capacity to respond. Not by agreement, not by belief, but by alignment. Interpretation closes the meaning. Structure allows meaning to circulate. No conspiracy, no drama, no heroes and villains, only structure. The Torah is not a family saga. It is an operating system. All becomes the rule. Rule becomes vessel. Vessel becomes economy. The bride is not pure. It is capacity. Economy is not money. It is circulation. And God is not a character in the story, but the structure that keeps the system coherent. Interpretation collapses the system into meaning. Structure keeps it alive. This is not theology. This is architecture. All rule, bride, economy. Not a story, not a romance, not a belief system. All the total field. Rule, the structure that orders it. Bride, not a woman, but a vessel that can receive without distortion. Economy, the circulation of that structure in the world. When we read emotionally, we collapse this movement into a scene. When we read structurally, we see a system in motion. The Torah is not telling us who to love or blame. It is showing how structure moves from totality into rule, into containment, into circulation. That is the code. This video does not interpret the text emotionally or narratively. It follows the internal structure of the words themselves. This is not a response. This is not an argument. This is the next step of the code. What unfolds here is not an opinion, but a continuation of a process already encoded. Watch the movement, not the story. Everything you are about to hear was already present in the structure before. The idea is simple. The economy is the bride. What we call God's bride is not a woman. It is the economy. Because the economy is the only structure capable of carrying everything. When everything is condensed into a container, it becomes the ultimate vessel. And when that vessel must operate in the world, the economy becomes the structure capable of holding everything and everyone. The economy is not a side effect of reality. It is the mechanism that makes reality tangible. Everything passes through it. Ownership exchange, loss, gain, payment, debt, peace. Not because reality is corrupt, but because reality must be countable to exist here. We think leaders move history, but what actually moves history is the economic structure they activate. When the economy shifts, everything follows. Borders, alliances, wars, peace treaties, technologies, and beliefs. It looks personal. It looks political, but it isn't. The economy is the bride because it is the point of contact between the abstract and the material. God does not move the world through emotion. He moves it through circulation. Payment is not punishment. Payment is translation. What cannot be paid for cannot become real. Nothing here is moral. It is structural. The cycle exists because reality must pass through exchange to take form. Economy is how the invisible becomes visible. Everything descends as voice. Through this operation, the world keeps turning. This layer of existence requires accounting. The bride is terrestrial, physical, the human experience, the tangible, the concrete. She includes everyone because everything must pass through her. And once you see it, you stop asking who is responsible and start seeing what is operating. It's one continuous exchange, the mechanism that turns the intangible into something you can touch. Nothing is free here, not as cruelty, but as design. This realm reveals value by weighing it. Exchange is the scale. Completion is the settlement. And when the account is finally reconciled, paid, fulfilled, finished, the vessel can rest. The bride becomes Shabbat. So the question isn't who's to blame, and it isn't even why. The real question is, what is the scale measuring against? Maybe it's not this person against that person, but this layer against the upper layer. Not morality first, structure first. Shekel is not just money, it's weighing. Justice is not just ethics, it's a balance. And measure for measure isn't revenge, it's reciprocity. Reality answering itself across two realms. If that's true, then daily life is where the code becomes visible. Every trade, every promise, every debt, every gift, every thank you, every withheld word. Not to moralize it, to see it. Because once you notice the economy behind your own exchanges, you stop living inside the story and you start tracking the operating system. The code is built layer upon layer. The same principles are embedded everywhere, in every word. So before the modern economy, we recognize today, there was an earlier system carrying the same weight, in a different time, a more primordial layer. That layer is encoded in Eve, the mother of all living. Not as a sentimental figure, not as the first woman in a story, but as code. Eve is not only mother, she is the living experience. She is life. She is also an obligation, a debt, continuity, the condition of existence in the earthly realm. You already know what all means. Life is embedded in Eve, in the experience itself. This is not mythology. It is an early operating system, the same structure, long before modern economic language. And in the next chapter of this series, we'll break down the code of Rebecca and the secret of the sacrifice. Stay with the movement.
And if there's anything that I've learned, is that we can only fix this world together. We can't do it divided. I cannot emphasize that enough. We can't let the desensitivity seep in. If it's your problem, then it's not mine. It's a woman's problem. It's a Black people problem. It's a poor people problem. I mean, how many of us in this room have colleagues and partners and friends from other races, sexes, religions? Show of hands. Well, then, they want to break bread with you, right? They like you? Well, then, this is their problem too.